As Trump threatens to bomb Iran back to the Stone Age, are Tehran's leaders now turning that line into a punchline, mocking the blockade just as the standoff heats up in Hormuz? Is Iran simply too big to choke, as Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf ridicules the US blockade by pointing to the sheer size of Iran's borders? When Iran's speaker tells Washington good luck blockading a country with those borders, is Tehran betting that geography alone will outlast Trump's naval squeeze? If Trump insists this is not a war but just a military operation, how long can that narrative hold when Iran's president is calling the US naval blockade an outright extension of the war? If 20% of the world's oil sits under Iran's control, will Trump's Hormuz power play really punish Tehran, or end up freezing the Western order instead, as Iran's advisors warn? As the US blockade drags on, Iran's leadership is openly mocking Trump's threat to send it back to the Stone Age, turning the standoff into a daily war of words at sea and online. Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf has taken the lead on X, ridiculing the very idea that US warships can truly box Iran in. He argues that Iran's vast land borders with multiple neighbors make any purely naval blockade strategy impossible to sustain in the long run. Good luck blockading a country with those borders, Ghalibaf joked, even tagging US War Secretary Pete Hegseth to drive home the taunt. Ghalibaf said, and I quote, "If you build two walls, one from NYC to the west coast and another from LA to the east coast, the total length will be 7,755 kilometers, which is still about 1,000 kilometers short of Iran's total borders. Good luck blockading a country with those borders." P.S. For Pete Hegseth, 1 kilometer equals 0.62 miles. Unquote. At the same time, President Masoud Pezeshkian is calling the US naval blockade an extension of military operations, arguing it keeps the war alive despite a ceasefire on paper. He says Iran is being punished for its resistance and independence, and warns that Tehran will not back down under economic or naval pressure. Pezeshkian said, and I quote, "The world has witnessed Iran's tolerance and peace-seeking nature. What is currently taking place under the title of a naval blockade is the extension of military operations against a nation that is merely paying the price for its steadfastness and independence. The continuation of this unjust approach is intolerable." Unquote. On April 30th, senior advisor Mohammad Bagher warned that the blockade would ultimately backfire on the system of domination rather than break Iran. His comments came directly after Trump threatened to bomb Iran back to the Stone Ages if Hormuz stays shut, turning Trump's phrase into a rhetorical boomerang. Bagher, an aide to Mujtaba Khamenei, argued that a country sitting on 20% of the world's oil and more than 18 trillion cubic meters of gas cannot simply be forced back in time by ships. Instead, he predicted that a prolonged naval squeeze would plunge the Western-led economic order into an ice age, with energy shocks ricocheting across global markets. Bagher said, and I quote, "When 20% of the world's oil and more than 18 trillion cubic meters of gas are under our control, a naval blockade will not drag Iran back to the Stone Age, but will undoubtedly plunge the system of domination into an ice age. With a transit capacity worth tens of billions of dollars, the lordship of the Persian Gulf belongs to the Iranians, and the enemy must return to the Gulf of Pigs." Unquote. All this comes as Trump insists that US moves are just a military operation, not a formal war with Iran, even while the blockade and airstrikes continue. He has also alleged that Iranian authorities killed 42,000 people during internal unrest, and even claimed he personally intervened by phone to save 8 women from execution. Iran is dying to make a deal, Trump insists, arguing that the blockade has crippled Iran's economy and left Tehran desperate for an off-ramp. Their economy is crashing. The power of the blockade is incredible, he told reporters, claiming Iran's navy, air force, and drone and missile factories have been devastated in the process.
Forward. Look, the country's doing really well, and that's despite a military operation. I don't call it a war. Would you rather have a military operation? Where really, Iran is dying to make a deal. I can only tell you that. I don't want to get into the, but they cannot be nuclear. Other than that, but their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone. Every ounce of Any form of equipment practically is gone. You know, their drone factories are about 82% down, and their missile factories are almost 90% down. And many of their missiles have been knocked out. They used some, but we knocked out more than they used. And it's pretty amazing what's happened. They want to make a deal. But despite the fact that we are in what some people would call a war, we just hit a new high today on the stock market. We have S&P is through the roof. They're all. If we didn't have that B-2 bomber, if we didn't go in and do what we did, we obliterated that nuclear capacity of theirs. And so they didn't get the nuclear bomb. If we didn't do that attack, should have been done long before I came along by other presidents or by another country or something. But it should have been done long before I came along. But they are in very bad shape. And they've got nothing going, including leadership. I mean, you know, their leaders are gone. Now they have a whole new, their first string leaders are gone. Their second string leaders are gone. Now we're dealing with their third string. But we'll see what happens. Can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And their economy is crashing. The blockade is incredible. The power of the blockade is incredible. They're not getting any money from oil. And hopefully it can be worked out very soon. Yeah.
Iran is proving to be very stubborn. The talks seem like they are stalled. Are you getting antsy to break the ceasefire?
Well, I mean, I don't know what stubborn is, because really nobody knows what the talks are except myself and a couple of other people. They want to make a deal badly. We have a problem because nobody knows for sure who the leaders are. It's a little bit of a problem, you know. The leaders have been wiped out along with their military, almost all of their military. I mean, think of it. 159 ships was their total Navy. 159 ships are gone. They're underwater. They're way below sea level. Sea level is a big difference. Pretty deep waters over there, too. So, I don't know that we need it. We might need it. We might need it.